it was a month ago that we talked.
Okay.
And then it also feels like that all went really fast. Both.
Right.
Um, so do I just like,
Just,
blah? Okay.
just laugh for now. Just done.
So first, okay, I guess there's just like some different things to update you on. One, I haven't sent you any drafts of anything. So,
Yeah.
um, and I think maybe I think maybe I want to talk about my practice a little bit because I mean, I'm doing it, but I'm struggling with it as well.
Okay.
But in part just exhaustion. But um, so I haven't sent you anything. I don't feel bad about it, but I'm also still committed to it. Like I do, it's something that I want. Our session also spurred a bunch of discussion with Bonnie, who, as a reminder, is my business manager, just about kind of strategy and tactics around content and kind of honoring, I feel like both here and there, working with the tension of orienting around freedom, working with creative flow, but also wanting to put a little bit of an editorial thing in place, and be at what feels really healthy is like working in the tension of when there's a goal or a deadline or something to kind of force something through that might otherwise get left.
Yeah.
Or put off, right? But without starting to turn into some like hustle shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm engaging in that tension well. And so one of the things that we started to envision that just kind of came up because of a piece. So basically what I did is I took all of our topics and all the prompts you sent.
Yeah.
I put them in a homework doc. And then in my morning practice, I would just like grab whichever one felt good, start writing on it. And what I started to, feeling the tension between like wanting to tell a bit of my story of what I've been in or acknowledge that without it being one of those like, I've been gone, that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
My favorite is when I watch a YouTube video and it's like, I think I was watching one on agile project management and the guy's like, well, I haven't posted in a while. I'm like, skip. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't even know who you are. I'm watching this for the first time, right? So, but also feeling like there's something to be told there. Anyway, one thing that started to come out, so this is where some content traction started to happen, was around phases and cycles, especially feeling that I have been in. So really, actually, specifically phases of consciousness development, levels of consciousness development, which is an actual specific theory around how we develop through levels of consciousness and what those phases are. So it's something that I've studied. It's something that I teach. It's something that I work with in my coaching. And I recognize that for the past several years, I have been in a disintegration phase and I'm moving into a wobbly phase. So I just started to give like a first person account of what each phase feels like. And then that felt kind of rich and robust. And then Bonnie was like, so, and then we started talking about closing currencies and what, even these kind of speaking to that work is never done and where are you and thus what do you need? And so I was like, oh, this could turn into a post. It's like, fuck, this could turn into more than a post. This could turn into a practice series. This could turn into like a live call with people just like, where the fuck are you? And then what does that mean you need? So that got pretty inspiring. And then you know what I fucking did? I posted it on Facebook.
I saw that.
Which, so you saw it. So that, which, we were even going like, okay, I think, we're looking at what's our short-term social media strategy. I want to be off it altogether. Fuck social media. Okay, fuck Facebook. We'll do a bit of stuff on Instagram. So this happened in our meeting. And then the next day I was like, oh, you know what? I could crowdsource this. And then I realized a lot of what my resistance is around Facebook is around telling and selling. But what felt actually really powerful was to just say, hey, this is what I'm working on. what do you see in this? And like the comments and the people who are coming in are colleagues in my field who are fucking deep, smart people. So even just feeling the ones who want to engage when I'm thinking about my long term, when I'm thinking about how I'm writing to an audience, and when it just kind of feels flat, there's like a tendency to want to dumb down. And yet when I see kind of who jumped into this post, it's like, oh, I can honor my mastery and speak from that place. So there's a lot that's like clicked in and settled and feeling good. And so what I feel like is the what's next, you know, also being relational, right? So a couple things have come out of the Facebook thing for me is like, okay, so being relational, I'm getting relational hits from that. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting feedback and inquiry and wisdom that can contribute to the working out of this piece and a potential offering around it. So it feels like I've just workshopped something. And I see people doing that all the time on Facebook, and they're the only ones that I actually am that interested in. People who are telling and selling, I'm like, fuck off. But people who are like sharing experiences or asking about things, and I see this one guy doing it all the time. And he's like one of the only reasons I'm still on Facebook, because I love watching what he's working on and what's unfolding and the way that he crowdsources and asks for feedback, and the really smart, intense, rigorous, critical feedback he gets on things and what he does with it is cool. Also exhausting. So that's the positive part that's kind of opening me up to a bit of a reframe and openness. The other part was, you know, so I replied and engaged a bit the day I posted it. Yesterday I did nothing, still had comments coming in, got on there and thought I'd do a couple of thoughtful responses this morning. An hour and a half goes by. And I'm like, oh, you know, all this time when I'm like, I see people on Facebook and I think, do they do anything other than post and reply on Facebook? And my answer is no, they fucking don't. That's all they do. I don't know where they're making their money or if they're even fucking working. They're making it look like they're working by being in these conversations. But it's like, I'm not. So there's the both tension that I'm feeling is this was a cool crowdsourcing experiment. I'm actually workshopping an idea, and the responses that I got had me feel like, oh, there's opportunity to really fill out more distinctions, offer some ideas, clarify something. Like it was cool. And also, oh, here's a potential time suck. So
great.
More for that. Yeah. So that's kind of that. And I feel like I want to, you know, and then some other piece, like I started to write this other piece just around kind of reframing what we're bothered by. It didn't seem like it really fit in anything other than kind of more just like an interior relationship to the world kind of thing. I used to just, when I was writing all the time, I was just posting whatever, and it usually fit into some category of, you know, accepting our humanity, doing our work, contributing, which is what my blog post is currently broken up into. So there's a bit of a, maybe as far as our work today, like I still want to, you know, I want to start publishing things. So I'd like to, you know, carry on with the commitment to sending things to you and having you, you know, do stuff. And then Bonnie's going to do stuff and have work do that. And I'm also feeling that some of these pieces, as they start to bubble, you know, this one on phases, I feel like there's a whole kind of theory distinction part to it. There's a whole inquiry part to it. There's a potential practice part, you know, there's a bunch of potential layers. And I'm feeling the tightness of time. So that's, you know, I think I just want to make sure, you know, and I've had a couple of calls that have gone well with clients, but I haven't got money coming in. And so most days I just feel fine and I'm trusting that it will, but it's also like, gotta do something. Okay. And then the last thing I just want to put in before you tell me what direction we're going in is I have a promise / commitment to myself and Bonnie to have the core draft of my talk for the Rise conference done by the end of this month. So I've started to, it might be that we need to talk about it. We might not. I've started to block out what I see the key components of it being are. And I've got the title, and I've been in touch with their marketing person, and but I know that you speak and coach speakers, and so there might just be like, hey, can I have some coaching on how to develop a really powerful talk?
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to pitch them. No, you're already secure. You're already in.
No, I'm the closing keynote for fuck's sake.
You're the closing keynote, right?
No, I'm not pitching, but that is something that I just like to put in our pipe to smoke and get high off of later. Is I've never pitched, but I'd love to speak more. I don't even know where to start about where to speak, what to charge, how to pitch. But if I could get a little speaking kit together and start throwing it out there, that would really light my fire.
I'll send you that too. What you need to have for, it's kind of like your earthquake preparedness kit. This is like your speaker preparedness kit, or a journalist would call it your go bag. Like
Great.
You kind of have a speaker go bag, and there's just things you need to have in it. So yeah, I can send you, I can send, that's easy. I'll just send that to you. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay. So I have 3 things present based on what you dumped out. Okay. Okay. So the first thing is I want to honor the, what we set out to do is happening. You probably doesn't feel like it, but it's happening. So remember, we set out to make creativity the center of the work, and trust that through the creative process, the outputs, all the different tentacles will happen, but that we're not going to work from the the bullshit funnel shit. We're going to work from like the idea was what if we started with a podcast, or what if we started with a blah blah blah, and then it led to this. And so what happened when you did this, you went, where the fuck are you? I was like, that's it. Like that's the heartbeat of about, like you said, that you described, about 8 different things can come out of that one inquiry. It started from this thing of phases and cycles and stuff, but it led to this, like you saw it, you're like, oh my God, this isn't just a blog post. This isn't just, like, this is actually potentially a whole chapter in a book, because it sounds to me like it's the first principle of anything else that can, like, nothing else can happen until we get to where the fuck are you? Right. So first off, I just want to acknowledge that the very intention of our work together is already happening.
Nice. Yeah, I feel that. It does actually feel like that. And I really appreciate you naming it in that way, because then I can, in terms of where you at, where are you, I can locate myself in that process.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. And it sounded like when you described it, you really were in that space of following what's alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what happened, there was a real release around social media. I think part of what I'm noticing is it's like I want to, the U that we've talked about, it's like I feel like I'm going down the U.
Yeah.
And the impulse is like, I want to get my list of people to ask about a podcast. Oh, but I need a title for a podcast. It's like, oh, fuck, just start talking to people. Even this woman was like posted in this group, Startup Pregnant, that she added me to without my permission, but I kind of like watching what's happening. And she was like grappling with her what's next, and everybody's giving their opinion on strategies. And I could just tell she just wants to fucking close down her podcast for a little while. And I was like, sounds like you just want to do this. Anyway, I was like, do you want to get on a call? And so I've been doing this too, is like my way through is by offering what I want. So I'm giving support where I see and I feel called. So I'm just like, and that might fill me up too fucking much, but maybe not, because I'm finding the coaching I am doing, the conversations I am having, getting visible and being out there is creating an energy in my creative system.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm noticing those, I should form a strategy around this. I'm just trying to relax it and follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I want to remind you that of the beautiful piece that arrived last time around protecting your mastery.
Yeah.
And what I know about being in the mud is it is a stage to actually, it's either a stage to say no to everything and wait, or it's a stage to say yes to everything and wait until the no comes.
Yeah. That's what it feels like right now. I feel like I've been in a no for years.
Okay.
What I would say is that it doesn't feel like a yes to spend money, because I don't have any except for on you. So, but it does feel like a yes to inquiry, to just when I feel like, oh, this would be generative. So
yeah. And so the reminder is that the filter of your yeses right now is, does it protect my mastery?
No.
If it doesn't protect my mastery, then that's a no.
Right.
Right. So, and I would even suggest that in this call, the last call was protecting your mastery. This call is probably the next step. Once you've protected it, what would the next step be? Would it be honoring? Would it be furthering? Would it be listening?
It's expressing it. I think it's expressing it. And even when I think about the offering this call to this woman, is when I saw everybody's posts, and it was all tactical and strategic, and all of it was pushing her in a particular direction. So I said, here's a radical different view. And her post was like, oh, there's so much here. And it was all this, like, basically I can't see the back. And so even in that moment, because I can feel, protecting my mastery might actually be protecting my time. But what I saw was a 20-minute conversation could make this so fucking clear for this woman. And that both expresses my mastery, but also her topic is all around the future of work, honoring children, family, mothers. Like, it matters to me. So that felt really resonant of, I can express mastery and be of deep service to her.
Okay, good. Awesome. So the next piece I want to acknowledge is these 3 P's popped into my head that now I'm going to use. I didn't know that I had them, but I am going to use them because I have them in my head. That is process, production, and practice. And so in this place of where you are clear about making your cash register ring, you're also clear about honoring the soulful work that is arriving through you, like the clarity of this next stage of who you are online, offline, in your work, attracting your clients. What is the emergence? What's the new emergence piece? And in this place as a creative person, as a human being, not just in your work, that there are 3 P's in our work together, or even in our assignments at the end. And we can start filing them around into, okay, this thing that's up, is this process? Is this production? Or is this practice? Right? And I think if we can hit all 3.
Are these for what I'm engaging or what I'm making?
Let me just hear. I think it can be all of the above.
Okay.
It's so that at the end, it's so that we can get into the soup of what's here. And at the end of it, we can go, okay, Chela wants to make her cash register ring. So something needs to be produced. Okay. Chela wants to come home to a rhythm of her creative expression. So something here needs to happen in the practice zone.
Yeah.
And then we want to honor that we are letting freedom lead, and that you have an innate manifesting that happens around letting things come. So that's process. So I would say in this call, and this so far, when you dumped just in the beginning, process was this whole, where the fuck are you? Right? You were like, oh my God, we're like, where the fuck are you? And then we landed in this, oh my gosh, she workshopped something. That was your language.
Right.
When you stuck it out on social media, it wasn't just a conversation. You were workshopping.
Right.
Right? That could be practice. And then what we haven't sorted out yet, although you did kinda, is because I know that you were very aware that you and I could be doing this dance and having a great time in creativity. Wouldn't that be fucking great? But, right? Yay! My cash register rings, but yours doesn't.
Right.
Right? To make this something that you're going to want to continue to do with me, and there's actually in service of where you actually are right now, something has to get produced to make your cash register ring. And you said this thing about, you noticed that when I offer what I want, something happens that engages in a potential exchange for your cash register to ring, which hasn't happened yet, but the exchange does. Like you have this chat with this person. So I want to ask you, so first off, we've got these 3 Ps in our work together that I'm going to be tracking.
Okay.
So that we don't have a whole call on process unless that's what needs to happen and that's what you want to happen.
Right.
Okay. But we actually produce and we move the, sometimes I get this visual in my head of moving an army forward.
Yeah.
You know, so 3 pieces move together.
So wait, can I just check? I feel like I'm not clear on process, but is what you mean by process like processing?
No, process is like, it's the creative process where it's like, I haven't got a fucking clue where we are, but I'm so in the process, I know it's unfolding.
Okay. I see.
I would call it maybe if there's another word, I'm willing to go for it.
I was like almost operationalizing it, but I think I have a clearer view, right? So talking about the process of the creativity versus the production versus the practice. I think I was collapsing process and practice.
Gotcha.
But practice is more action and process is kind of where I am.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Okay. So back to your closing currency. So cool that you had that conversation with Bonnie. That rocks. I'm curious about what is the thing that you do that that gets them to the place where they have an experience where they pull their wallet out. So for example, when I was in your place, I'm going, fuck, this body of work is coming. I don't know what it is, but I know I got to listen for it and I got to do it. I started kind of doing what you know how you said, I'm going to offer what I want. I started doing these core story calls. I didn't even know what they were.
Right.
I didn't even know they were core story calls. They were just these listening calls. And I followed that thread because it was the most alive in me. And then it turned out that because it was, you know, divinely inspired and it was totally like alive, it turned out to be the thing that was the vessel that made people pull out their cash register. I made my cash register ring.
Right.
So I'm wondering, like, when, you know, I'm saying, what's your curiosity call like, or what's your intake like, or what's your,
right.
What do you usually do?
Well, yeah, I mean, that feels really solid. Like once somebody's interested in my work, you know, it's like I send them a calendar invite, then we do a 20-minute call, and there's like super confidence there. That's a non.
But how many of those 20-minute calls are you getting these days?
I had 2 this week, not many. So it's the point before that. So what I've historically done, I've honestly not done a lot of hustling. So, or even like reaching out. That's why I'm in new territory. So what's happened historically is I've always got a rotation of people who are referring me, people who are talking about me, who have platforms.
Yeah.
And then I've been writing and creating content that then gets shared. So like that's what happened in business 2.1 or 1.0. And now I'm in where I am now. So when I So part of what I've been doing is reaching out to some of those core people, and not a ton of fruit has happened there. Like, haven't gotten back to me. And then kind of just even starting and planting seeds. So, and then I've had a couple of calls that have been like paid, but one-off calls with people who are like, "Ooh, I might want to pick this up into a longer program." So it's like, there's little feelers, but that's the space right now of having more visibility and getting people through to those calls.
So how alive is this "where the fuck are you" conversation in your head right now?
Tell me more. So I now feel like the context is different for you asking that question. So I don't know what you're asking.
Well, I'm jumping into, okay, I'll tell you, I'll track with you where I just tracked. Okay. So I tracked you said something about the rigorous engagement with people, like deep, smart people.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, okay, so we've got some deep, smart people engaging with you. You are offering what you want, and what you wanted was information. And in that, some deep, smart people totally engage with you. So these deep, smart people, if I follow what you just said, are the people who are going to eventually be sending people to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to, it doesn't matter if we've got deep, smart people who have worked with you before, deep, smart people who haven't worked with you before. It doesn't matter where they are. Everyone at some point goes, "Where the fuck am I?"
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like that's the starting point, potentially, of your work with somebody.
Yeah.
And then I go back to what happened in our last call about the gritty work and the life is messy thing, and that your comfort in that. So what I'm asking about, of how alive is this "where the fuck are you," is I'm listening for, is this the thing that she's supposed to be workshopping right now?
Yeah.
I
think maybe because there's some juice there, and I can actually see some potential. So here's what I've kind of thought through so far. And what I'm cautious of is that moment where I put a stake in the ground of something I'm making, and then it starts to feel laborious and fuck. So it's like, what I don't want to do is get too far ahead of myself with the layers of production. But here's what I see is, first is completing this piece.
Okay.
And I think that the piece, so, and then I could see it. God, my hair is so dirty. I really need a shower. I see a few branches of possibility, and this is part of what I talked about with Bonnie. So one of them is this self-location, where the closing of the piece could be about self-location. Could be one of two things, like, if you're finding yourself in one of these transitional cycles and want support of figuring out how to move through it and develop in the ways that you want to, or create what you want in this cycle that you're in, who has two thumbs and is going to coach your ass. So that's the one, like, that's the potential kind of closing call to action that just says, be in touch. Another potential is to have that then turn into some kind of question reflection process that takes that content deeper, like a mini practice.
Yeah.
There's also I want
to interrupt you. That's all right. Because what I don't want to do is engage the story that isn't making your cash register ring.
Okay.
And what happened when you were totally surrendered to process last week is all of a sudden idea got workshopped on Facebook and people engaged. Yeah. So my thought is, production, yes, complete the piece. Love the closing at the end. Love it. Trust it. Do it. Of the self-location. Fucking love it. I think I just heard you say that moment where I put a stake in the ground. I'm like, fuck that. No stakes in the ground for you. No, certainly not right now. I say, keep workshopping on Facebook or wherever. In fact, I want to talk about LinkedIn in a sec, but keep workshopping where you get rigorous engagement. And the next step is post rigorous engagement, reach out to one of those people that you got engagement from and said, hey, I really want to know your thoughts on this. Do you have time for a 20-minute call? Not to pitch them, not to work with them. But what we know about you is when people engage with you, they then refer.
Right.
If you were like, I'm booking 20-minute calls with people that you are genuinely interested in, they're going to fucking
reach out to 3 people from that thread and booked calls. I already did that.
Okay.
You know, some of these people are people I know deeply, and they're also coaches, so I don't know that they'll necessarily directly refer, but they're also people who are in my sphere as people that when I'm looking at the long-term structure. So what I'm really feeling into is, you know, from membership to group coaching, our collective engagement. And so I'm starting to plant seeds / connect with those people. You know, even this offering to support this woman, same thing. So what I did notice is in this workshopping, I've already started that reaching out process.
Good. So now I'm saying do it on purpose because it works.
Okay.
It works for you. It's mutually beneficial. I'm always looking for the perpetual motion, right? Where energy out is energy in. So as you're putting in 20 minutes out with this person, it's nourishing you because you're workshopping and because you're working on this piece.
Right.
Right. My only thought from a sort of authentic, you know, I hate that word, but authentic marketing thing is know what your closing ask is of the person. So after, like, if your intent is to workshop an idea with somebody for 20 minutes, at the end of that, we've got, like, it would be great to know what do you want, or what do you want to offer them or ask them, or so that you start to land. What am I trying to say? When we own our close at the end of the phone, at the end of a call, then we get referrals. So it's not like, hey, thanks for your time. So it's like, what would you really want after a workshop conversation with somebody? What would you really want?
Well, you know, okay, so there's a part that's not quite fitting.
Okay.
And that is feeling like, I almost feel like there's a closure to investing more workshopping. Like, I actually feel like there's enough to kind of go back into my creative cave.
Okay.
Versus, and then maybe there's, like, this piece comes out of it that then there could be more workshopping to do.
Yeah.
But I guess it almost feels a little bit faster than that. Like, that one-on-one calls to workshop content of a piece feels like too much time.
Okay, so let me track back with you. Yes, but that right now what I'm looking at is bringing cash bringing cash in, and what I'm trying to unpack is that 20 minutes. Is the piece before. You know how you said it's not the 20-minute call. It's the piece before that books the 20-minute call, where they decide to, you know, book you or not.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out where does the aliveness in that exchange. And so you're right. To write a piece, fucking laborious. No way.
So what I'm hearing is you're going, how do I get onto calls with people who will send me referrals?
Yes, in an authentic, creative, flowy, freedom generating, mutual, exchange. That's because that's how you roll, kind of way.
Yeah, and I think there are a couple people that I can follow up with. I almost feel like it's a little bit more of a direct path.
Okay.
Like, there are some people I can follow up with. There are also previous clients who have said that they'd be interested in working with me before, that I could also, like, I feel like there's some one-on-one reaching out that I haven't done.
Do you want to do it?
I think so.
Oh,
I just haven't gotten to it. But yeah, it's like, even just updating and connecting and going, this is where I'm at and this is what I'm building. And I'd love to work with you again. And if you know people, send them to me. And I like, that feels generative. I could do that.
Take the word hustle out of your vocabulary then?
Yeah. But I didn't say hustle in there, did I?
No, but you have before.
Oh yeah. No, that doesn't actually feel like hustling. No, hustling feels like, see, one of the things is I haven't even put on Facebook that I'm taking clients again.
Yeah.
I've just done one mailer. So, there's a little bit of shyness around it, I guess, but I think, or that starts to feel like hustling. But I could even see with this piece, posting this piece, I could say, I'm taking clients again. The doors are open. One of the things I really see is it's when people are in transitional spaces and really need help and clarity with their what's next. This piece is meant to help do that. Ping me if you want to chat about working together.
Okay. You know what I hear loud and clear? You are committed.
Yeah. What am I committed to?
To, you have an internal system that you want to follow.
Yeah. Guess so. I guess I do.
You do.
I guess I do. What is it?
Trying to lead you over to the more flowy side, and you're like, no, I'm just going to be more direct than that. I'm like, and I'm not fighting with you. I'm not going to say, yeah, then that's what's alive.
Right. I feel like the flowy needs to be really present for my creative work, that I need to keep like surrendering and letting and workshopping. But I feel like the cash register ringing part is just that I just need to fucking get this done, because I got mortgage payments, and there's a little bit of like I don't fuck around. Like, yeah, what's the path of least resistance? Because if I'm worried about money coming through the door, everything else closes. And what I'm starting to feel is really generative.
Awesome.
So if I can keep that generative momentum going with flowy content pieces, but just like feet to the fire with getting people through the door.
Okay, so you know what I just wrote down for you?
What?
I just wrote down, I got to get this done. Don't fuck around. I'm going to express my mastery.
Nice.
So even when you're picking up the phone, honey, and this is your words, not mine. When you pick up the phone or whatever, hey, I'm taking clients. If you can move it from the place of I'm expressing my mastery.
Nice.
That's because here's what I don't want for you, because I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to protect you from the fucking monster called hustle, or the fucking monster called work, frankly.
Right.
Right. And yeah, you totally have a system that you know works and is going to happen, and you're not afraid to do it. So my suggestion is let it come from expressing your mastery.
Great.
Okay, so now let's go play in creativity land, because clearly that's where you want to be.
Okay. Thank you. This is great. Great.
Woo!
And every one of my pens is dying. What does that say? Something. Buy better pens. All right. Oh, also, just while it's in my thought, before we close, can we look at next week's date?
Yeah.
They all got booked out, but it conflicts with my yoga.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. It's just in the calendar, so I know it's always there.
Yeah. And maybe we could look ahead at October too and get those in.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks. All right.
Okay. So you've got this piece. What's it saying to you?
I think it's saying it's like it wants, I want, it wants. Mm-hmm. It wants to bring relief and clarity and support to people.
Relief, clarity, and support. What's the leading word of those three?
Relief.
Really? Yeah, that was my thought too.
And I also think that the relief helps to lead to the clarity, which helps to lead to taking action. I feel like this piece also has the potential for some really alive conversation. Like, I had thought about having a live call. Like, I almost set one up in the summer to do in September. And then I was like, I don't really know what my strategy is. And I don't want to just like book my time and throw a bunch of shit at the wall. But then with this, it feels like, oh, this piece, because connecting and being with people live is really generative for me, that there's the potential of actually setting up some, either creating a practice series or creating a live thing to engage in together, that actually creates a practice series out of it. So part of what I'm feeling is that it's a potential foundation for helping people locate themselves, helping people kind of validate where they are and not judge where they are, and be more attuned to what they need and how to get that support.
Can you tell me a little bit about, like, what you just said? Anybody could have said. So I'm trying to put it into a context, like who sort of locate themselves, validate where they are, and be more attuned to what they need. Is this like, I'm going to be really like boring, but is this like for moms? Is this for
no? It's
for
well, I keep coming back to leaders. Like, I'm really interested in leadership, but I also I think that's one of the other pieces that I've been working on, is like, well, what is conscious leadership? What does it mean to be a leader? My podcast title in my head is "What is Leadership?" as a genuine inquiry. So I feel like it's for leaders or people who are trying to consciously carve a path that breaks from the status quo or that transforms something. I think if we find a more kind of conventional box, it's entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the unconventional, like what's actually tugging on your heart. So can you just give me some qualities? What are some of the qualities of these leaders?
Yeah, well, it's funny, I say leaders, but I think it could maybe more accurately be seekers. Seekers who are then doing work, because like people who are in leadership positions or leading things, but they're really interested in like making money and cranking out the capitalistic system and exploiting other people, or even just like success is my end goal. That's not actually the consciousness level I'm interested in. So I would say they're seekers, and they're leading themselves, others, and their missions at a level of consciousness, awareness, and embodiment that's like really paying attention to what the fuck's happening on the planet, and wanting to be in communion. Yeah.
So it sounds to me a little bit like part of what needs to be in your pieces in the next little while, because part of what you're doing is you're positioning so that people can find you but not with fucking language. I mean, you're positioning like a pulse, like you're putting your pulse out there, like a beacon. So those who are tuned into that pulse are like, or her. And yes, language matters, but I just don't want to engage your brain.
Right.
It sounds to me a little bit like you are creating a definition of the leader you work with. And seeker is the closest word to it. I don't think you need to pull away from the word leader.
I don't think so either, but it's the definition around it.
Yeah. And so I'm hearing, seeker. The other word that I really heard was communion. And so can you tell me a little bit, and it's more for you, obviously, about what communion, like what that actually means?
Well, I think, do you know Hiro Boga? Did we talk about this?
Yeah, last time a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So I had my session, my kind of discovery thing with her the day after I talked to you, and we're coaching trading each other, which is just like, oh my God, I'm just getting so much support. I can't even believe it. This is also part of why I trust.
Yeah.
I'm just trusting, because it's like from synchronicities to just claiming what I need. I'm fucking doing the work. So it's either going to pay off or everything's just going to fall apart anyway, and there's nothing I can do about it. So one of the big themes that came up with her that I'm really excited to dig into is around this kind of collective, I don't know what those are. I think that's on my end. I think
notification of some kind, whatever.
So is around the collective consciousness and kind of collective pain and disorientation and stuff. And I mean, specifically, this came up through the question of my own self-doubt and how much of that is mine and how much of that is actually just the world's. And we got into some really deep conversation around being in an entrepreneurial field. So I'll speak to just kind of this piece and then kind of what I'm seeing around communion. So we're in this entrepreneurial field where we're location independent. A lot of us are solopreneurs, or we have teams who are also location independent. And so there's a lot of isolation, but we're feeling collective patterns that are occurring in the culture and in the cultural consciousness, in the cultural expression, in, the cultural memes that are occurring. But it feels like we're dealing with them individually. And also, I think our culture's center of gravity, our cultural level of consciousness center of gravity is individualistic. And so when I think about the conscious leadership that I want to be working in, both as I'm developing my model and who I'm working with, but also who I'm speaking to and have worked with, is not leaders who have an individualistic worldview. So when I look at communion, it's, okay, we actually have a collective worldview, but we've also got all these kind of like individualistic structures, needs, fears. Like I'm really interested in looking at some very unconventional, innovative business structures that's about kind of concentric circles of collaboration versus a top-down kind of thing. And I don't know what that model looks like, and I find it fucking terrifying. But I think that that's what we need in business and leadership, are these circles of collaboration and communion that moves beyond individualism and empire building.
Okay. So what I glean from this, from a very sort of basic level, meaning I could tell it to my friend over coffee, Right? Like really, really, right? Because that's the level we hear on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We inquire and learn other things, but we hear and talk about.
Yeah.
Coffee chat, right?
Yeah.
Is this really interesting piece about we're physically independent, but these are leaders who are consciously connected, but physically independent. And that, so communion for you currently, as I hear it anyway, has more to do with the conscious connection. Yes?
A bit. It's conscious connection, but it's also actually about community. It's about moving beyond.
Okay.
Kind of identifying our places of isolation and moving beyond them.
So identifying our isolation, be it physically or not, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Physical or not, and or not. And moving beyond them to what?
I think to collaborative change movements. Which sounds a little bit more social changey than I mean it to be, but it could be that. But it could also just be like, how we have dinner with our neighbors.
Yeah. So the people, the leaders that speak your language, do they get this or not already? Like, do they already get this?
They don't need to be persuaded about it.
Okay.
But it's emerging. I think they know that it's needed. They're finding ways to have the conversation. They don't know how to do it. They want it. And they're really aware that the status quo and structures and systems, and even like being on your computer and social media, they know that what's currently happening isn't allowing for it.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right. So you're just going to have to figure out how to write that.
Well, so in the recording, just know it's right at the tail end.
Yeah.
Because you actually have a whole paragraph.
Right.
Here. And what, so the assignment I have for you is a small one.
Okay.
Is to just write that paragraph. Write that paragraph about what these leaders want.
Okay.
Because those are the people that you're sending your pulse out to.
Right.
And those are the people, like when you write an article, those are the people you're writing to. And to always, I can say this to you. I can say this to a few people I work with, actually. I couldn't say it to everybody. But, but to always, well, my suggestion, take it or leave it. But to always pray into that space with them before you start
I love it.
Writing. Because you're actually, if I hear what you truly believe, you believe in the collective unconscious and the connection in that space.
Right.
And so to write from a deep space of honor in connection to those people who are waiting for you in that space. Right from there.
Oh, I like that.
Because that's what you actually believe. Ooh, I have goosebumps. Woo! Wow. Like that's what you actually believe.
Yeah.
And so my challenge to you is, who are you not to do that?
Right. Okay, got it.
That's not just protecting your mastery. That's expressing your mastery. It's honoring your mastery. It's living your mastery. It's right on the fucking edge for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
You're actually writing from a space of communion.
Communion.
Okay?
There's none word in there. There's none in there.
Ah! So funny. I'm a little uncomfortable now. I'm like, whoa! That's very exposing. It's got
Awesome.
like, what did we just do? Yeah, so the assignment is to write that paragraph, because that paragraph, I keep seeing aliens in my head. I think that's just the only space I can hold them, like the only picture my brain can attach to it, like stepping into the unconscious space.
Right.
Your audience isn't the conscious space. Your audience is in the unconscious.
Right.
So it's like, so that paragraph is going to help you, like, remind you who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And that piece, yeah, just keep working on that piece that you're working on. Yeah. And I could make more shit up to just, make myself look good and clever and everything.
No, I think that's plenty. Let's keep it lean. Let's keep it lean. That's a lot. I feel real full.
That's so funny. That's my edge, hey? That's my yep, no, like I bump up against not good enough, and then
yeah.
So at the end,
I'm offer more.
Yeah.
I know that one so well. I've been working that edge for years. Yeah.
Funny, hey?
Yeah.
My joke about that is I said to my friend Nicole, who knows me very, very well on that level, I'm like, so she accompanied me to all the United Church things that I had to do, all the, right? Where you basically, they're interviewing you on a very deeply personal level. And I said, just don't let me throw fucking kittens at the end, okay? Don't let me throw kittens at them. And she looked at me and she goes, yeah, I don't throw kittens, I throw assholes. She totally does. She's like, she throws fuck yous when she's in this space. I'm like, I'm just going to make you feel really good about me.
Oh my God. Here's a kitten.
Yeah.
All the kittens.
Kittens are assholes. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So what is resonating for you what do you hear? What did you hear today?
Express my mastery. Go where the energy is. To follow that. And yeah, this challenge and assignment around like naming who these people are.
Okay. Love it. Okay, sugar pie.
Okay. Oh, can we look at the calendar?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, I realize, no, next week I don't have yoga. It doesn't start yet. I've signed up for a Munch one. But next week we've got couples therapy at 11 in Vancouver.
Okay.
And then our session is at 1. So I don't know if
19th, right.
We should just bump it out a week, or I should come to your office if you're downtown, or what?
Yeah. What feels good to you? I mean, we could bump it later. We could what's in service of you? My Fridays are, not that particular Friday. Like if you want to bump it to another day, because that's better for you too, or earlier in the day, like we could even do early, like 8 a.m. or something like that, if you want to carry on with the same day. Couples counseling, I think it's good to have some space at the...
That's what I feel. I feel like we should just not have it on that day.
Okay. Not do it.
So yeah. So if we look at the next week, what's your week look like? I'm looking at Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Okay. So we're looking at like Wednesday, the 25th. I am traveling. So I need to get back to you on this because I'm actually leading a workshop in Regina
Yeah.
From the 25th. I'm in Regina from the 25th to the 28th. So I
Okay.
actually have to look at the schedule so I know what time I'm on stage.
I see.
And just make sure I've got my timing okay. So if we can leave that with me.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure there's space on the Wednesday because I'm not on stage all day.
Right.
And I think I'm first up on Wednesday. I think that's how that works. And then my Thursday is totally free then as well. So let me just if I can get back to you on that. So just to be clear, are you looking at doing 2 next week then, or just the one?
Oh, right. No, because we have the one that's at 1, right, which conflicts. But I guess we're supposed to have 3 a month, and we've already had 2.
Yeah.
And so next week would be the 3rd. We could also just skip next week.
Yeah, we could.
Right. And well, which is what we're talking about doing. We're talking about moving it. But what I see is now we've actually got 4 on for September.
Right.
Because we have one that's booked at 1 p.m. on the 26th. So what would be?
Yeah. But why don't we leave that? Why don't you leave it with me to confirm the 1 p.m. on the 26th, that it's not conflicting with my talk. I don't think it is.
I think, could you actually look and see, because that time doesn't work for me. I think that's the one that got added in after.
Okay.
So if that could be either in the morning,
okay,
or on the 27th, if you could look at your schedule, what could work, and then get back to me, that would be great.
Sure. So either 26th in the morning or 27th, and I'm in Regina, which puts me 1 or 2 hours ahead. I can't remember.
Right.
Talking out loud, thinking out loud.
Right. Okay.
All right. So I will look into that, and we won't do one next week, the 19th. We're looking at the week after.
That's right.
Okay. And then what we'll do, if we can just do you want to look into October then too, since we're here, or is that too, yeah. Okay.
Let me just send a quick text to Bonnie. Oh, hold on. It's my son. I'm going to answer this.
Yeah, go for it.
Hi, honey. What's up, buddy?